Hello everyone, welcome. Today I'm going to discuss something different. I'm going to tell you why, for your consideration, why I'm no longer following some of the people that I used to follow, read their books, follow them on YouTube, the videos, the lectures that they used to give, and so on. In some cases, I just became bored, and in some cases, I felt disappointed a little bit. Because I saw, in the ones that I'm going to discuss, it's just a handful, I saw that my question was, why are they not able to connect the dots and get to the real question of what is happening? For example, I have a little list here. Okay, Jordan Peterson. Okay, I used to follow him. Everybody did. A lot of people did, and agree with you. I used to with him. I used to enjoy his early lectures at the university. You remember, as a psychologist, speaking about the individual identity, personality, and follow his fight with the Canadian government about the pronouns and how his stand was that he would not do it, not because he would not address a person who wanted to be addressed in this way, not because of that, because he would respect the person's choice, but because he felt that the government should not dictate what we can and cannot say, kind of thing. So I follow him on that. Then he moved on to a series on scripture. I didn't follow that too much. I don't know why. Perhaps I just wasn't terribly interested. But there was certainly a journey towards Christianity. Not that he would, or he said, I don't know whether he said I am a Christian now, but anyway, there was a journey there of him trying to deepen his understanding of Christianity and so on. But I didn't follow that. When I sort of stopped watching him was when he started doing videos on geopolitics and the war and Russia and so on. And my question was, he's not connecting the dots. In other words, there is a problem in society, let's call it woke, whatever. That is what he was addressing. And he was addressing that problem and telling us in very eloquent terms why he was against it. But he was just looking at the problem, and he wasn't asking why the problem came to be in the first place. It's not that from one day to another or from one year to another society changes its mores completely. Something is happening here. I feel that it is being directed in the sense that if you have a bigger goal, aim, in order to reach that aim, you have to take a number of steps. And in order to reach in geopolitics one particular goal, you have to perhaps divide society in many different ways. There are many ways in which you can divide one particular society and have its people fight one another. But that is the means. The objective is something else. So nations divide and conquer, yeah? So different nations will be divided following different fault lines. It could be that within one nation state you have two races, or you have two religions, or you have two languages. Anyway, if you have an objective about breaking down that society for whatever reason, you're going to use those fault lines to divide it. So what is happening in the West, I see it as a means to certain political and geopolitical objectives, and the means why people are being, I would say, manipulated into these fights is because of a bigger reason. And I find that he is unable to see that. He just looks at the problem, but he doesn't see that that problem is created in order to achieve a wider aim. So when I started listening to his comments on the war and geopolitics, I said he is not connecting the dots. So he didn't. Basically, I found that I had nothing to learn from him on geopolitics. The same kind of thing is with Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage, for those who are not in the United Kingdom, you know, he is the famous politician, the Brexit man, yes, and very, very active for 25, 30 years about getting the UK out of the European Union and so on, very popular. All right, so he, after Brexit, he formed the Reform Party in Britain. I tell you a story. I actually, at the very beginning when it was first formed, that was after Brexit happened, and so the Brexit Party no longer existed. And so it became the Reform Party with Nigel Farage. And this is about 2 years ago, and they were asking for people to volunteer to stand for elections and so on. I actually applied, and I had to go through a number of interviews. That was quite an experience, actually. And as to whether I would be selected or not, and I was selected. So I was going to represent my where I live, my constituents. And I was quite happy about it, actually. And but something happened, and I realized pretty soon that the party was not really going to follow through with what I thought was going to follow through at the beginning. So I wrote to them and I said, no, I don't want you to consider me. I don't want to be part of it. They couldn't understand why. I explained it to them. Anyway, that was a sort of a bad sniff I had as to how the party was being run, and certain things that they should be talking about, and they weren't, and they were quiet. And so I said, no, this is not it either. But in any case, Nigel Farage is, I think he's still the president of the party, but he's no longer active in politics. And I find the same with him. My initial reaction when I heard about when the war started and his comments on the war, I thought, has he flipped? That doesn't make sense with all the things that he was saying before, for him to be looking at what is happening with the war in this way. This is about when the war started, so what is it, a year and a half ago or something like that. And I cannot see how again he couldn't connect the dots from what was happening at home with the overall general geopolitical aim. So I no longer follow him. So, in other words, with Jordan Peterson, his moral stand of things on things doesn't connect the dots to geopolitics. With Nigel Farage is the immigration thing that he fought so much, invested so much of his life. He doesn't see that the immigration problem might be connected to a wider objective. He just looked at it and said, no, I don't like this, but they stop here. It's as if they put whatever they fight against or they're complaining about, they put it in a box and connect it to what has happened on a wider scale in the world in geopolitics. Another one, so that was a political, not connecting the dots. A cultural one is another scholar that I used to follow very much, and that is Douglas Murray. I read his books. I admired his very learned man, very articulate. And he was also, has been talking about and writing about the woke ideology, very much against it, and so on. But the moment Trump came into the scene, he was viscerally against him. I thought, okay, you don't have to go for Trump. I can understand that. But the connection between what he was criticizing, the woke ideology, the Democratic Party in the United States, and a reaction against it, as it were. But that was, I continued to follow him. But then the war came up again, and again, unable to see, to connect the dots from national politics to international politics. That is what I find amazing. So I don't know whether they're very intelligent people. So are they not seeing it, or are they seeing it but refuse to connect it? All right. So those are three people that I kind of feel that I have nothing to learn from anymore when it comes to geopolitics. Who else am I not following? American Congressional Hearings. It used to be that, we thought that, when someone comes to testify to Congress, they are going to get to the truth and do something about it. I know, naive, but anyway, more and more we see them. But the people who were testifying were at least pretending that they would be telling the truth. Now they just go there and say, no, sorry, I can't answer that. And so the politician, the committee person would be asking them, well, how did you, well, this is what happened. I say, sorry, I can't comment on that. It's under investigation. I can't comment. So what is the point? In other words, do the committees not have the power to kind of demand that they answer? Yes, you are here to testify and to testify under oath. And if you do not do so, there have to be consequences to that. No, nothing happens. The guys are there just saying, no, can't answer that. And so the politicians just ask them one or two questions, and then they go off on a barrage of explanations and the history of it. In other words, this is a chance for them to shine, and the people who are there to testify are just there sort of listening to the politician showing off. And then when he has finished, after a 2-minute talk, they just say, no, sorry, can't answer. And there they are, they're laughing at them. So basically, they are all engaged in this Morris dancing. they all know what they're doing. They, the people are called to testify just to get them a little, just to make them a little bit uncomfortable. I don't even think that they feel uncomfortable anymore. They probably think, okay, it's time for me to go to Congress and have a little slap on my wrist or whatever. And it's a chance for politicians to shine and so on, but nothing ever happens. In the case, for example, of the former head of the ABI, Comey was it, and Senator Grassley was there. This is quite a while back. Asking questions, and all he could say really was, he referred to the Department of Justice as the Department of Just Us, and he made a little joke, blah blah blah. But they let them go. Nothing ever happens to them. So it's pointless. It's just you tune in to these congressional hearings, and it's just to hear politicians campaigning, I guess. So nothing happens there. Who else do I have here? The Archbishop of Canterbury, the Anglican Church of England Archbishop of Canterbury. I'm Catholic, so I find a little bit of a problem even accepting that, the titles of bishop and archbishop. There is no apostolic succession there, so you can call yourself whatever you want. I can call myself Napoleon, but anyway. But this guy, when I look at him, I don't think he believes a word of what he says or what he is supposed to stand for. I look at, especially when he is dressed, robed in his archbishop garments with the mitre and everything, and he has this inane smile on his face as if he knows that he's wearing a costume. I can't even look at him. Anyway, this connects lots of criticisms, obviously, but perhaps if you want to hear a very learned and reasonable person speaking about what is happening in the Anglican Church, Dr. Ashenden is the best person to go to. But this reminds me, during the coronation, in religious terms, I saw it as a little bit of a farce. No one was believing anything of what anyone was saying. And when I saw the Prime Minister there reading from the Bible, the Prime Minister is Hindu. And yes, I agree that perhaps he should have said, sorry, I with due respect, I am of a different religion, and perhaps the Deputy Prime Minister or the Speaker of the House or someone else could do this reading, and I don't want to upset anybody. My religion is a different one. He's Hindu, I think. But not there he was, reading from the Bible. Didn't believe a word of it. No one believed a word of it. It was like a farce. Oh dear. So I guess I won't see any more coronations. I have so many. But anyway, the president of Ukraine, who has been in Europe, Alex Christopher calls him Zelensky without the Z, because apparently at the very beginning, the Russian tanks, I think, had Z written, Z for Americans written on them, and so he prohibited something or other anyway. So he said, okay, so the last letter of the alphabet is banned and prohibited, so he decided to call him Zelensky. Anyway, he has been in Europe doing his rounds. There is a report at the moment that French television was making fun. I'm going to watch the program. My French is not excellent, but I think is good enough to understand a little bit. And well, apparently the Ukrainian government has asked for an official apology because they were laughing at something or other to do with the president Zelensky, and they are demanding an apology. Apparently, one of these talk shows, I haven't watched it. I'm going to refer to his tour of Europe as a circus or something like that. Anyway, they're demanding an apology from the French government and so on. And this comes at the same time that I see and hear from one of the channels that I still follow, Dr. Taylor, what's his name? Taylor Marshall, yes, that the president went to see the Pope and gave him an icon of the Virgin Mary with baby Jesus, and he crossed out baby Jesus. So it's well, you have to see it. You have to see the picture to say, why is he doing this? I mean, to go to the Pope with a picture of an icon of the Virgin Mary and Child and cross out completely the baby Jesus thing. I mean, to go to the Pope with that, I mean, did he think it was funny? I mean, the vulgarity, I just don't know how else to express it. It's not only ignorance, but it's vulgar ignorance. One more thing, I just saw a report. I got this from Parler, an article that the LA Dodgers are planning to, in an upcoming game, they have a group of a sort of gay and trans group pretending to be queer and trans nuns, and they're all dressed up in nuns gear, and they're going to honor them, this group, this performing group. So what's going on? So we have the FBI going to mass surveilling traditional Catholics. Question mark. Is there an attack on Christianity? An open one, not one, sort of half hidden, but an open war on Christianity in the West? We have to ask ourselves why. Not just that it is or is not happening, but why is it happening? You remember the old question from, some say Cicero, I think it was Juvenal, who said, cui bono, cui bono, who does it benefit? In whose benefit is it? Or, as Americans put it, follow the money. Okay, bye-bye, thank you.